DAO episode 28. In this episode, we cover a lot of things. We cover front ends twice. We cover zero inflation projects that hopefully will be deflationary, but probably won't. And finally, we cover Metis, which is our L2 guest of the month or week or episode. And we discuss what they're doing with potential airdrops, very likely airdrops, more than likely very lucrative airdrops. So please stay tuned. I'm Kritosi, and this is DAO Watch. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to DAO Watch episode 26, I believe. This one is going to be an absolute corker. We've got loads of things to discuss. We're discussing front ends, we're discussing deflation, and to top it all off, to finish it all off, we're discussing airdrops. Well, potential airdrops. This is a massive project called Metis. Metis is an L2, so it's one of those EVMs like Optimism, Arbitrum. Is one of this new wave of projects which will have a new wave of projects on them. And I am really, really excited about this one. Just looking here, for those of you who aren't watching on video but are listening on podcast, I am your charismatic host, Kritosi. As you can see, I am looking dapper as ever. Metis have a 4.6 million Metis fund. Now, that's not a $4.6 million fund, as each Metis is worth $114. 4.6 million of them, I guess we could do the maths here. Let's do the maths here. 4600,000 is around $527 million. So they got a $527 million development fund, which should be enough to knock out a few projects. And they've got a proposal which we are going to look into in great detail today. Before we start, I just want to give another shout out to another project resource which I think is very, very useful, and it's this L2 Beat. What it does is it allows you to look over the various L2s, mostly the EVM based ones, and see loads of their different stats, like the total value locked, how much that has increased, what their market share is, what stage they're currently at as far as completing their technology. There's one or two that are at stage 2. D-Gate is one of them, and Fuel V1 is another. But it's all very, very interesting. Okay, we've got the usual suspects this episode: Dash, PIVX, and Cosmos. We've got a massively controversial Cosmos proposal, but before we get started with that, let's get started with this. Dash. And the Dash proposal that we're looking at today is about DashMoney, which is a decentralized front end for the upcoming Dash platform. The monthly amount is 199 Dash, which is around $5,500. Looks like it's going to pass. There's only one no, and here's why. Basically, it's asking for money pretty much after the development is completed. There is a lot of stuff, well, I shouldn't say completed, has gotten underway. So there is already dope on the table, as we like to say. You can quickly go through to here. You can test this out yourself. I might make a short tutorial on how to actually test out this DashMoney. But basically, you click to create a new account. It'll give you your mnemonic. You copy it down. It'll give you your address, etc., etc. You can get your testnet tokens from these various faucets. Once you've done that, here's one that I made earlier. You can then do things like join the messages channel and leave your own messages or make your own broadcasts. Groups, I believe, is coming. There will be a store you can have of your own, and you can do shopping, review, proof of funds, etc., etc. There's quite a few things there. But the proposal is about the things that are to come. So in the next 3 months, for $5,000 a month, which works out to be around $15,000, and we discuss whether or not that is too big of an ask later in this proposal. The groups part, where people can have their own groups, so you can have your own groups which rotates around certain things, or I don't know how they will do it, but it will show about the groups in the display, the active groups for joining. I don't know if there'll be a criteria to join certain groups or not. We will just have to wait and see. He's going to improve the login sequence and shift the current login from pull-in wallet first to pull-in platform data first. He's going to be bringing Dash Get Paid as My Store and shopping at the Pay Later feature. Create the identity and documents control page for deleting documents and disabling identity if necessary. And he's going to bring in credit transferability for the front-end fee mechanism. Basically, as far as I know, he's the only person doing this, which is corroborated by Lysergic's comments. And as far as I'm concerned, he's not asking for a ridiculous amount. We have to bear in mind, in the Western world, developers of this ilk will earn, give or take, somewhere between, I don't know, $100 to around $100,000, maybe. At the low end, $60,000, which is what he's asking for. At the high end, $100,000. So he's asking to get paid in American wages. And the work that he is producing, I would say, I guess it's nothing to write home about, but it's certainly worth the money, considering there is no competition. Especially considering that the proposal owner needs competition. The ask is too high, but he's the only one doing this, so I will support him. And I like this comment. I think I'm going to give it an upvote. I like it because it's honest. It's an honest vote. Like what Lysergic is saying is that I only want us to pay this man because there's no one else doing it. And if there was, I would expect him to price it lower, be more competitive. I said even if he had competition, to simply have one team working on this would be bad. So I guess you would need at least 3 or 4 before you start to say, oh, we want it cheaper. And the 3 or 4 would have to be at least this caliber. I think that's going to be a tall ask for a project like Dash. I don't think he's asking too much. Some of his skills could be earning far more by building a front end from Maya, 4chain, or any similar interface on top of chains which have far more traffic. That's just a fact. He's not going to be able to monetize through fees like he would with the other projects that I mentioned, or even if he went and built on somewhere like Metis. These guys are throwing 500 million at developers. So by contrast, I think the 15,000, even if he does it for the whole year, the 100,000 is quite small. By the whole year, it'll be 60,000, sorry, not 100,000. I also support this proposal and disagree with the statement that the ask is too high, especially considering the wages that Core have been on for years. I seem to always want to have a dig at Core. I am sorry. Let's encourage third-party initiatives and not push them to the bottom or try to squeeze them. So for me, I like this proposal. I like the fact that he doesn't really need to add images or anything like that. He can say, go and test it out yourself. Here's what I'm building next. That's what your money's going to get you. If somebody quoted me 15,000 for just these things, would I say yes or no? I would likely say no. However, I think you've got to take into account The fact that learning this stuff and being able to do it is quite unique. It is quite unique to Dash, and the research time is not been factored in. So when you take that into account, there is a lot of background that needs to be done away from this that's not being priced in, which you should price in. So for me, it's a yes. Lovely proposal, nice and concise. I like that this person that has actually been building, we don't know who they are. It doesn't matter. The proof is in the pudding. You can go and test the front end. So for me, it's a very simple yes. And there's no real drawbacks to this. Here's some of it. Pardon me. Sorry for that short interruption. But during that short break, I actually did get to read a little bit behind the DashMoney. I don't know who it is, but he actually does type as if he's clearly a developer because of the accuracy of the sentences and the way he constructs them, the conciseness of his words. You can tell this person codes a lot. I think it might be the I don't know, his name's AJ. I don't know what his name is, but the guy who comes on Dash with Ryan, I think it's him. Although he doesn't actually put his name here anywhere. He's got a new username called DashMoney. It's kind of irrelevant. I'm not trying to dox him, but it does, just by the way the words are formatted, seem like him. Anyway, but looking into this even deeper, it's wonderful. It really is wonderful. And I will leave a link to it in the description because I can't really cover the whole thing here and now. We will go too far over our allotted time. So that is Dash. In a roundup, a quick summary. It's for DashMoney, which is going to be a front end for platform. It's brilliant, beautiful, wonderful. I love the vision behind it. Once you get to see it, I'll put a link to both in the description below. And yeah, it's a yes from me. Great proposal, and I'm loving watching it take shape. I will probably try to do some sort of tutorial for it and just explain how the 12 words work, because I think I may even have myself been slightly confused by it, thinking that it was me creating my own public-private key pairing. PIVX, let's move on to PIVX. And yeah, LMP Meerkat. I do not know what LMP stands for, but this proposal is basically for somebody to do the graphic or to support with the graphic design requirements of PIVX as they move to add shielded transactions to their My PIVX wallet, to the, I guess it's the light wallet, as it would like to be known, and the mobile wallet. I'm quite sure you can use My PIVX wallet on mobile. So shielded transactions are private transactions. Meerkat, who I'm quite sure is female, so I'm going to say she, if it's a he. Apologies. Quite sure it's female, so she will be supporting by helping them design the UI and the UX, and even testing the UI and the UX. These UX people are very, very important. We always complain that there's not enough abstraction in crypto apps. Well, Meerkat is here to do just that. Provide advice for the design of My PIVX wallet, front-end development in HTML, CSS, helping support by cleaning up and polishing Masternode UI, staking UI, Bread.js. I think that's a framework. Social media graphics for PIVX Labs and social media graphics for PIVX Core. Notable points here is that this is co-authored by JS Kitty. If you've watched any of these episodes before, you'll know JS Kitty is one of the main supporting actors for PIVX Labs, which is PIVX's third-party development, or a third-party development group within PIVX. And he's co-authored it. The fact that he's co-authoring it, to me, makes it a yes vote immediately, providing the numbers add up, and they do, basically. So quite straightforward proposal. I do think that for the people who aren't as versed in what is happening within PIVX as I am, there should be possibly some smatterings of Meerkat's design portfolio, maybe just some frameworks or some wireframes that she's done in the past, or just so that we know what sort of work we can expect. I'm quite sure she's done work for PIVX before, so there should be some PIVX bits that they could add here just to say Meerkat has worked with us before, and here's what she's done. Lacey Mack did come in, and she said how many graphics for PIVX Core can be expected during each cycle. This will help her, because I think this will mean there's two people doing graphics for PIVX Core, so there'll be Meerkat and I forget the other guy's name, but we've covered his proposals before. Meerkat said, as much as you need, we're doing this together. So basically she's saying she's prepared to burn out as soon as required for the cause of PIVX, which is what you love to see. You want to see people prepared to donate blood, sweat and tears for the cause. Nice proposal, but very concise, possibly a little bit short. One drawback I would say is that it could do with having some imagery. Other than that, for me, it's an obvious yes for the price, and the fact that they've been very clever to have JS Kitty noted as a co-author. I think that's very good. I think if you're making proposals and you can get a co-sign from somebody who is highly respected within the community, I think you should get it. We don't want to see people grandfathered in, but at the same time, when the people who have been active and have really been doing great things say that this is good, it just lightens the load. It means that I don't have to dig into who is Meerkat if I didn't know before. It just lightens the load. And if you're involved in a number of DAOs, then it's the easier the decision-making process is for the voter, the better. So that's PIVX. It's another yes. We're on a roll today. How long will it last? And here we go. So I did promise a little bit of controversy, and it has, of course, come from Cosmos. I would argue is now the most toxic DAO in the world. I don't think anything else comes close to the amount of smug, passive aggression within the community. But yeah, Atom Cosmos is the absolute winner of most toxic DAO in the world. And there's one real reason for that, and that is that everything is text-based. There is lots and lots of discussion here, and to understand it, you have to be the type of person who is an Atom Cosmos maxi. Otherwise, you're not going to have the time or the inclination to really understand things. This proposal is to change the minimum inflation and set it to 0. Now, the minimum inflation means that for the minimum inflation to be hit, 100% of Atom have to be being staked. So anything over 66%, I believe, and you start to move away from the maximum inflation and as you go higher and higher towards 100%, the amount trends towards zero. So if there's 66% of the total atom supply being staked, it will be at, I believe it's 10% now. And the closer that moves to 100%, the closer the inflation moves to 0%. Now, I didn't know this. I think I had to ask about it on Twitter. Somebody said, do your own research. It's a toxic community when they tell you to do your own research and don't tell you where to do that research. Luckily for them, I had a rough idea of what it meant, and I still have only a rough idea. My previous explanation could have been slightly wrong. And that's because pardon my phone. That's because I don't live my life through Cosmos. So some of the intricacies I may not know, and this is what will happen in the future as we do start to have people who are crypto native and involved in multiple DAOs. You're not going to know every single aspect of every single DAO. I need to remember to pack my son's swimming kit tomorrow. I don't have time to learn all of this stuff. Having said that, the proposal really hinges upon, I believe we've got all of the discussion here. Now, there's a lot of discussion here. One of the real great things about this proposal is that it was started well in advance. The proposal has kind of come through in stages. They really are trying to get to grips with their inflation and their tokenomics within Cosmos. The upshot of that is that the inflation hopefully will get under control in time for the bull market when new people join the ecosystem, new money joins the ecosystem, price go up. The flip side is that some people are unhappy that the rules are being changed. They feel like maybe the rug's being pulled from underneath them. And the way it's being done is very transparent, but it's similar to legalese. It's very transparent, but there's not enough effort to make everybody understand both the arguments for and against. It's a lot of people coming to talk with their opinions already made up. You could look through this entire conversation and all of these threads, and I guarantee you won't see a single comment which reads something like, okay, I get your point. Maybe my point was not the best. Maybe you're right. You won't see anything like that. You've got a bunch of smart people turning up to be toxic and tell each other that they're right and the other person's wrong, for the most part. Even the proposal itself has one line which is it's very, very bad, where they say basically there's something about the major narrative, and if you don't like it, you can go. Where is the line? Where is the line? Where is the line? Where is the line? Okay. It's worth noting that Cosmos is designed to accommodate such scenarios. If individuals find themselves diverging from the core narrative, that word core, I really don't like it within crypto. It's not nice. The core narrative, they have the option to explore other blockchain projects such as Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin forks that have undergone similar plan changes. Brackets LOL. That's a toxic LOL. That's an I'm smarter than you LOL. That's your opinion doesn't mean jack LOL. That's the type of LOL I give my son when he tells me he wants ice cream for breakfast. You're not getting ice cream for breakfast, LOL. And to put it in a proposal like this, which I actually agree with, but it does definitely have counter arguments that are viable. You can't LOL these people and tell them if they can't get with the program, they should get lost. I think that started the conversation off on the wrong foot, but there we have it. How could that be improved? There have been some discussions about having various ways to mitigate cognitive diversity. I talk about it in my book, link below, which is available on Amazon. But we talk about ways to mitigate cognitive diversity. Atom, Cosmos, although it's a massive DAO, it's still a young DAO. It's a lot younger than PIVX. It's a lot younger than Dash. These guys don't really know how to navigate these very difficult scenarios. I'll give an example of what Dash done when they had a very difficult proposal or set of proposals. And what they done, the guys at Dash Incubator, is they had people from both sides of the argument come onto the show and advocate for their side of the argument. In a situation like this, where there's not necessarily two clear sides, there might be set inflation at 0%, set inflation at minimum inflation at 5%, there might be set minimum inflation at 8%. So there are various, it's a spectrum, it's not an integer, it's not a yes or a no. So there will be various things, but what could be done to smooth this out, instead of telling people if you don't like it, go elsewhere, is to have people come onto voice and video based platforms and explain their arguments via those mediums. Like we know, text can be cold, text can be uncaring, text can be harsh. Audio is less harsh, so if you're if you're listening to this on podcast, it's less harsh than if you just read it. You get to hear my voice, you get to hear my tones, you get to understand when I'm annoyed, and you get to understand when I'm not annoyed, and when I think something's funny, and when I'm just not taking something serious. Various different tones that you get with voice, and with video, it's another level altogether. You get to see my face, you get to see my facial expressions. Generally, sometimes someone like me is monotone, but some people can be more dynamic, and within that, you can portray, you can communicate far better. Nobody has done this, and the problem I have with Cosmos is they have a much, much bigger community than Dash do. This is a much bigger deal than anything that could possibly happen in Dash, because it's a much bigger project, and they are just not doing it as well because these guys, they haven't been in crypto as long, and they definitely haven't been in DAOs as long, and they're still arguing from the point of, let me impress upon you that I am smarter. Whether you're smarter or not doesn't really matter. Nobody is as smart as me. So argue amongst yourselves. Maybe Don Kryptonium, he might be the only one who is as smart as me. So that would really help the proposal. The proposal itself, I think, is fine because they explain it. And the fact that these proposals are coming in stages, I think is fine. Very well thought out, very well worded. It explains what it is and why it is. And the discussion around it has been plentiful. This is, if we go back and look at the proposal, this is clearly a proposal which is very contentious. For those who are just listening, the no's are currently ahead with 52% of the vote. I believe the yeses are 43%, abstains are 3.2%. Even the validators aren't coming out in force and commenting. There's only been one comment that says no. It just simply says don't agree so far. Don't agree to go so far, sorry. So it's very, very concise, let's say. And another one which is an abstain. Another thing which we need to take into account with the voting method for this particular DAO is that the amount of transfers that a person has done, like the amount that a person has used, the network doesn't is not taken into account with your voting weight. It's purely on the amount of atom you've got staked. I think that is massively flawed when you start to talk about how do you pay the people who stake the atom. You're asking only a subset of the actual stakeholders. By stakeholders, I mean the people who are involved in the ecosystem, which be it developers, be it users. The users are absolutely overlooked. I could have spent over $100 million worth of atom I could have been using over the past year and a half that I may use in the next year, but I don't get any say because I'm not a staker. Most of my transactions are being most of my value is liquid in the system. I might be using all the apps on the system. Who knows what people are doing? But the only people that can vote are the stakers, and that is massively flawed. And that's something that needs to be looked at, and I guess it needs to be looked at sooner rather than later, but I can't see it being looked at on the Cosmos DAO. It would be looked at elsewhere. One other thing to consider when we're looking at the inflation is that Cosmos, they also can benefit from, so that the validators could also benefit from the Atom Economic Zone, I believe they call it. So some of the other projects like Neutron, I believe, there may be some others, I think there's about 3, they actually secure their chain via Atom. So they pay Atom validators for securing the Neutron chain. Something like that, I think, generates other revenues for the validators, and although it's not quite enough to be considered yet, it should be considered in the future. I'll leave a link to both the proposal and the discussion which follows it. Some of it is personal. There are some personalities within Cosmos who people form a cult around or a cult against, and a lot of that is being said. There are some very, very good comments. I think this is one of them. Currently, I cannot say I support this proposal. In theory, this sounds great, but Atom is no, this is not a good one. That was not a good one. There was a good one around here, and I think it was from the Power Cosmic, but I'll let you look for it yourselves. For me personally, I do agree to set the minimum inflation to 0. I think the maximum inflation should have been, you say, even lower. Could have been as low as 5%. But of course, it's not. It's that wasn't even put forward, and I didn't put it forward, so it's my own fault. Quick shout out to Crypto Ceto and Don Kryptonium, and I think there's another guy called Joe, Cosmo Joe, I think he's called. These are some of the top content creators in this particular ecosystem. It would be great if you guys really took the initiative to start to have some impartial discussion on your platform around these things to help the discussion move along. Let people have these discussions in text, but bring some advocates from each side onto your shows and allow them to advocate vocally and visually, and ask them some questions. You guys are well informed. It would be it would make for good content. So we're through to the last project, and it is the one that I've been super excited about. It's been a great, first of all, congratulate yourself for getting this far into the video. I don't get many views because this content is not for everybody. It's not for the moon people. It's for the people who really are into crypto, really are into DAOs, and really want to be at the actual cutting edge. It's not just about money go up, although money do go up. That's just a byproduct of being this smart, watching people like me who are as amazing as I am. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, make sure you share this with your friends, let them watch it. It may not all make sense to you at first, but as you relax and just listen to this or watch this as you work out or as you drive, or no, don't watch this as you drive. You can listen to it as you drive. Watch it in the mornings or at night, whenever your brain is at its peak. These sorts of things will start to, excuse my phone, these sorts of things will start to make some real sense to you. So the Metis DAO proposal, this one is a great one. And here's where we start to talk about airdrops. So the Metis, currently they want to decentralize their testnet sequencer. So the sequencer they have, I'm assuming on mainnet, is not a decentralized one, which means that the chain itself is pretty centralized, which is one of the bad things, or one of the reasons why a lot of people say that these sorts of roll-ups are not production ready. I think it's a fair argument. However, Metis are now ready to decentralize their testnet sequencer. and have the community come and span it with transactions. They want people to do that, and they will give people points for doing that. There is no promise of an airdrop, but we all know how this story ends. It's currently going through. The proposal will be finishing 2 days after this show airs. So keep an eye out for that. Excuse my phone. And it's a rip-roaring success. Of course, everybody wants to get their hands on this this airdrop. So everybody's like, yeah, let's go. And not only that, not only the airdrop, but everybody wants to see the Metis network decentralized. Everybody wants to see these roll-ups stop being so centralized, because that is what the L1 maxis, I guess, if there are any of those. But the Bitcoin maxis definitely point to. They say Ethereum can't scale. We turn around and tell them, of course it can. We've got L2s, we've got ZK rollups, and they tell us, but those are all centralized, so shut up. And for the moment, they're right. However, these things are going to start to make them be wrong. The purpose of this proposal is to properly decentralize the sequencer infrastructure deployed on testnet, and to activate community testing to help Metis developers stress test the new architecture. Roll-ups, blah, 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 blah. I'll give a quick shout-out, actually, to the Daily Gwei, GWEI. Very good show about Ethereum and about L2s. Generally, he speaks a lot about L2s, a guy called Anthony Sassano. If you don't know about him, it's another one of those content sources which never speaks about price, but is very, very useful. So check that out. Okay, so the proposal, basically, what they're saying is that season 1 of community testing will kick off on Monday, January the 25th. And what people have to do is go and test out these 5 products. The products are a SocialFi platform, perpetual DEX, so you can do longs and shorts with leverage, prediction markets, so you can go and gamble, you can play a lottery game, swap, which is like a Uniswap, basically. It's called NetSwap, that has been out for a little while. This is also, I will give you a little bit of alpha here. When these sorts of things happen and people can go and start using something on testnet, people will then start to take note. And because NetSwap is the only DEX that has been featured, well, the only one-for-one DEX that's not got leverage or perps and stuff, on-chain DEX, it will be, I would put a lot of money on it that this market cap will jump. Currently, it's only at 13 million. That's pretty small. Considering the Metis market cap is it 10x of that? It's much more than 10x of that. 573 or 1.1. So it's like maybe 1% of the fully diluted value. Considering that, we've got to assume that this NetSwap will jump. It's already done a 10x in the past 30 days, which is not bad. But considering how high it was at one point during the last bull run, we can expect to see something crazy happen with this price. So that's just a little bit of alpha. It's not financial advice, but sometimes when you're looking at DAOs, you do get to see these things as a byproduct. So anyway, so there's that. There's Hummus Finance, which is, I guess that's their version of Curve. So it's for stable coins mostly. Rules are quite simple. You go and you mint your testnet tokens and off you go. But there's a twist. There's twists and there's all this and that. Let's go to the TLDR. The proposal is to decentralize the testnet sequencer and activate community testing. Assume the community votes yes, season 1 of community testing will begin on Monday the 15th of January. Season 1 will incentivize interaction with dApps and will help the Metis developers stress test decentralized sequencer. We encourage Metis community to go over the proposal comprehensively today and get ready to vote tomorrow. And yes, it looks like the way it's going to go through. I love this proposal. I think it's well written out. It covers everything. We know exactly what we're voting on. We know why we're voting on it. It gives you a good heads up to the apps that they want you to use. The apps do, I'm assuming, all exist on mainnet as well as testnet, but you need to interact with them on testnet. I don't believe, one problem is they don't actually say what they want you to do. They just say they want you to do actions to earn points. I don't know where the points will be, where you'll be able to view your points. There's no link to such a thing. So there's a few bits that are missing that should be here. A few points that aren't here. But it's fine. There's not any information on where to go for more information in case you needed some. The proposer doesn't have a name. They simply have an address, which is also not great. The voting system is quadratic, which we like. And yeah, there we have it. I guess that wraps us up. I would obviously vote yes. I don't have any Metis to vote on this particular proposal, but if I did, I would vote yes. Thank you for watching. It's been a very, very, very interesting episode. This episode, I started off with a well-lit face, and then we had a break, and now there is no well-lit face. But you know, we're still working on the whole crypto influencer thing. I'm going to quickly summarize what we've got over. The Dash proposal for a front end, hopefully a decentralized front end for DashMoney for platform is great. People are building on Dash platform, which is great, even before Dash platform has actually been released on mainnet. Really love to see that. You know that it's coming closer when you see things like that. PIVX have got somebody helping them to implement Shield. Again, private transactions on mobile phones with ZK Snarks at that level of privacy on mobile phones in transactions that finalize extremely quickly. It's the stuff we would have dreamed about in 2017 when I was really neck deep in privacy projects. So that's very, very exciting. Very exciting to see. Cosmos, still the most toxic DAO in the world. We really need some of these influencers to grab the bull by the horns and really start fostering warm discussions, because the cognitive diversity is really frictionful. I don't know what the word is. English is not my first language. Finally, Metis DAO. Very excited by Metis DAO. A lot of funding going in there, and some projects where if Metis does pick up any speed, those projects will do very well, even if it picks up medium speed. And with EIP 4844 around the corner, you would expect a lot of these L2s to really do well. We saw them pump just after the Bitcoin ETF, and I believe we will see them pump again in the future, along with Ethereum. But that's enough of that. Remember, Cryptosing DAO, that's the DAO that we're building with the help of all the people that we come across on the way. And the book, the Ultimate DAO Handbook, link to that is in the description below, is for sale on Amazon. And thanks for watching. Congratulations, you are the smartest person you know. I am Cryptosi, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you, and adios.